speaking of lying to themselves, DAZN, to switch topics up, is telling themselves they're going to get this NFL deal, man. Okay. This Bloomberg article, which has a very interesting byline um, of loss-making streaming service DAZN eyes NFL streaming rights. That's such a damn the shade. I There's a lot of detail in this. Like the U.S. Subscriber base is at 1.2 million now, and that seems a lot, to be honest. And they've said that ESPN's are hovering a little over 2 million. ESPN Plus, I should say, not ESPN. ESPN's like 80 something million.
I thought it was 300 million. It was in every home in America.
Get out of here, Tyson Fury. And obviously, the crux of this article is them going after the AT&T deal with NFL. NFL being the National Football League is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, sports property you can probably acquire in the U.S. It's America's top sport at this moment. The current deal, I think, is at like 1 point something billion, and the next deal they're looking at is like 8 something billion. So it's going to be this gigantic percentage increase. I'm skeptical of DAZN winning out in this battle because obviously ESPN's going to be going after them heavily. I think they mentioned a couple of the Disney. Walt Disney is ESPN. Fox Sports will be going after Facebook, Amazon. Those are four gigantic companies that I do not see DAZN really competing with in the U.S. landscape right now. So for them to get the NFL live rights to sort of the Sunday ticket, so to speak, would be insane. So again, DAZN, credit for you for trying. And, in the sort of description of this episode, I put DAZN, NFL, or bust. Because I do think it's sort of one of those things where they need the NFL, they need the NBA, they need one of those big sports, or it is a bust. I think we're going to get a bust, to be honest. But that's my opinion, very preliminary prediction. It's going to be interesting to see when these negotiations start, when all that news comes out. Because me, Rob, I love business rumors and shit like that when it comes to these big companies, so I'll be eating up all these articles. Rob, your opinion about some of DAZN's particular information about subscriber base, stuff like that, and also, obviously, them going after the big whale, which is the NFL.
I was back and forth with Keith Idek on this, and he wasn't so sure that ESPN would kind of be in. They've already got, I can't remember what he said exactly, but there's some kind of NFL content via ESPN, and they've got obviously some college football, this, that, and the other. Because this is, I think, what DAZN are after is like the baseball show that they've got, where they cut live to, I think as well, there's some certain live games shown.
Well, the baseball thing isn't live.
No, but they show some highlights and also go live to certain.
I don't think any of it's live, from what I've seen. It's always highlights. So it's always like pre.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, it's kind of like, it's not like the other channels, like tune in and it's this live game followed by that live game, or it's kind of like
it's a highlight show. It's a highlight show.
Yeah. But I think there is some live. I think Keith said something like, people that aren't shown in certain areas, like you can almost.
Well, here's what it is. The Sunday ticket. That's what you're trying to explain. I'm explaining to you because I live in the U.S. I know I have the Sunday ticket, so I know what it is. Okay. It allows you to watch every NFL game. So, like, let's say if I don't have the Sunday ticket and I want to watch the NFL, right, on Sunday or Monday, you only get the games that are in your local area. So it'd be like, for me, it'd be a Chargers, it'd be a Rams game, it'd be whatever game, wherever team is local to me. That would be on the Fox, NBC, CBS. It'd be on one of those main channels, right, one of the free channels. And then the Sunday night game would be on, like, ESPN. Monday night would be on ESPN.
Yeah.
And that would be a national syndicated game. While like if I'm in South Carolina and I go on Fox and Sunday morning, I'm seeing Carolina Panthers play. not the Rams, right? While if I'm in California watching Fox, I'm watching the Rams play. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Then
yeah.
the NFL Sunday Ticket allows you to watch all those other games you don't get in your regional area live.
Okay.
That's what they're going after.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's not they're not going after the same thing as their MLB package, which they have right
Okay.
now. That's
Yeah.
very different. And like me and Gary were talking about this. I think it was on the Patreon show. I don't know if it was
Mhm.
on the free show. And he was talking about how because he's a big baseball head and he loves their DAZN content
Yeah.
for that, but he wishes it was live. He wishes it was a live show that they were cut to everything. Just a long like daily show.
Yeah.
The NFL Sunday Ticket also includes that. It would be like the Red Zone is what it's called.
Yeah, Keith mentioned it. That's another show that's
Yes, that would be
where
attached to the Sunday Ticket probably.
oh, okay.
So
But he was
so while so
that's cheaper than the obviously
it
the
would
zones.
it would be cheaper than Sunday Ticket, but I think right now it's packaged together. So
Oh, okay.
I don't know if they're trying to depackage it, just like the NFL. Excuse me, is trying to depackage their linear TV and digital rights, live rights to their
Yeah.
content.
Yeah.
So I don't know what NFL is going to be doing in 2020. It seems like they're going to be doing a lot, trying to change it up.
Well,
But
the article says they've got to decide by September this year on the whether they stick with the because they've got a get out clause and they're deciding whether to get out of this direct TV thing, which is currently running, or look to jump on with like this streaming, over the top sort of service. But speaking of Keith Idett, I don't know that he suggested that DAZN, a pretty good chance of getting it, but and obviously because I said to you it was on your
I didn't get
Championship
that vibe
round.
from him. By the way, I was reading the replies. I didn't get
Okay.
that vibe.
But I said to you on championship rounds, like this, if the 1.2 million US subscribers is true, I mean, shout out to the zone. That's pretty great work in what 7-8 months or 9 months. But I think that's approaching the peak that just purely boxing is going to bring in. I think that might be the top end of what they can do via their, what they're putting out as boxing content.
Yeah, it was Patreon because you asked that question to me.
Yeah.
Like, is that sort of the max reach they can get from a subscriber base? And I said absolutely because that 1.2 million. I don't know if that's all boxing. I don't know if that's real. I think they might be mixing up numbers. To be honest, like, hey, great journalists make mistakes. I don't know if they were looking at like the worldwide viewership from the Canelo fight and it got mixed up because again, we saw 600,000 live in the U.S. see the Canelo fight, so this is double that. I don't know if Bellator brings that in. I don't know if Combat Des Americas. I don't know if the Change Up Show or all of them combined.
The article said the Change Up Show, and it's kind of a loose term, but it said it's brought in thousands of subscribers. Now that could be 5,000, it could be 100,000.
Exactly.
It's tricky to know from the.
If it said hundreds of thousands, it'd be a better app. Like
yeah. But if the total number of 1.2 is true, then great. But they now need one of the big sports, and obviously football is the biggest in America. And if they land it, great. It's what they really need. But possibly other big players are going to come in for this. But I think the article kind of said, they've made contact. They've building sort of relationships. They already run the NFL. I think it's the same thing or similar in Canada, things like that. So there's relationships there. So we'll wait and see.
Again, my point has never been about NFL not wanting to zone. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's just whether others.
It's look. Canada is not the U.S. Canada doesn't have ESPN. Canada doesn't have Fox. Canada doesn't have. I think the imprint that Amazon has in the U.S. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there are certain companies that they're a U.S. like fucking behemoth in a way, and while DAZN can be a huge hit and have rights to some really big properties in, let's say, Germany, Japan, Canada, those are also very different markets in the U.S.
Yeah.
In the U.S., it's a very crowded marketplace. And when they're losing $627 million a year right now, while these other companies are making money. ESPN's making money, Disney's making money, Fox is making money, Amazon's making money, Facebook's making money. There's a question mark. Even if you're a gigantic billionaire like what's the guy's name? I always mess up his
Blavnik.
Blavnik. Still there's a well that's going to run dry eventually. Disney's well is never going to run dry, ever, and that's just it's hard to compete against that.
Blavnik, he's got the Warner Music, right? Is it
Mhm.
Spotify and things like that?
He has no, he's a big mogul, right? Huge.
Yeah, and
But
they've just sold off part of their. I think now they've separated from Perform Group, or something's been
something like that.
sold to allow more funding and investment. So I don't know. I'm sure they'll be very aggressive because I think they know they need a big US sport, and I guess if it is decided in September, we'll know pretty soon. But I believe they want to be in, what was it? What did they say? 20 countries by the end of next year.
And I've been saying this over and over again. It's like DAZN's content is great. It's the price that's the biggest issue, especially in the U.S. audience, right? It's $20 a month. That is far too much. When HBO Max just got announced, right, which is Warner Brothers' big thing, right, which is going to include like New Line Cinema, DC, HBO, a ton of different things. It's going to be their Netflix, right? It's going to be their sort of competitor to Disney Plus. That's going to be $17.99, and doing the rounds on YouTube channels for like that sort of sphere of the industry, that was far too much, and there was outcry over the pricing of that, and that's a couple bucks cheaper than DAZN, and it has HBO, DC, New Line Cinema, Lionsgate, Warner Brothers, everything. Like you do have to at some point provide more content for that buck or drop the price down. At some point, they have to realize that they're asking far too much from the consumer, and even the yearly $100 is just a lot. That is a lot. It's $8.99. I'll be honest, the content doesn't really call for that.